The views on a Breath of Fresh Air podcast reflects the parties involved, and we encourage you all to use it as a conversational tool that will lead to personal studies of your own.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. As a young person, Christianity can be so foggy, like smoke in the mirrors and so unclear. But we're here to bring you a breath of fresh air.
Now Dinah, the daughter Leah had born to Jacob, went out to visit the women of the land. When Shechem, son of Hamor the Hivite, the ruler of that area, saw her, he took her and raped her. His heart was drawn to Dinah, daughter of Jacob. He loved the young woman and spoke tenderly to her. And Shechem said to his father Hamor,
"Boy, who this girl is? Please get her as my wife."
When Jacob heard that his daughter Dinah had been defiled, his sons were in the fields with his livestock. So he did nothing about it until they came home.
Oh, I can't believe this, bro.
They ain't getting away with this.
They're gonna regret the day they ever defiled our sister Dinah. You hear me?
I'm telling you, they're gonna rue this day.
Dad said that Hamor and his son Shechem is gonna come to talk to us tomorrow, bro.
Hey, let me tell you something. I got a plan. Let's not be too irrational about this. I got a plan. Just trust me. Just trust me.
Alright, man. Alright.
Intermarry with us. Give us your daughters and take our daughters for yourself. You can sell among us. The land is open to you. Live in it, trade in it, and acquire property in it. Let me find favor in your eyes, and I'll give you whatever you ask. Make the price for the bride and name the gift that I am to bring as great as you like. And I'll pay whatever you ask me. Only give me the young woman as my wife.
Bro, you talking about intermarrying with you? Bro, we can't do that. Bro, we can't do that. That would be a disgrace to us to give our sister to a man who's not circumcised. But here's the thing. We'll only enter into this agreement with you on one condition. That you become like us, circumcising all your males. Then, we'll give into what you ask. You can marry our daughters and we'll take your daughters for ourselves. And then we'll settle among you and become one people with you. But if you don't agree to be circumcised, we'll take our sister and go.
Deal. Sounds good.
Get circumcised, bro? That's the big plan that you had? Come on. You telling me circumcision is the consequence for defiling our sister? Our blood sister?
Bro,
come on.
Listen to me. You ain't seeing the master plan. Guess what? I knew he was going to agree to this just because I saw the look in his eyes on how much he liked Dinah. But guess what? They have to circumcise all their males. We gonna give it about a day or two, and then we gonna go in and we gonna kill every last one of them when they're weak. That's the major plan. It wasn't just about circumcision. It was about just getting them weak.
Whoa. Simeon, you've done it again. You're a genius.
I told you, just trust me.
3 days later, while all of them were still in pain, two of Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took their swords and attacked the unsuspecting city, killing every male.
Hey, Levi, it's been about 3 days, bro. You ready?
Oh, I thought you would never ask.
Bro, let's get it. I got my sword already.
I got two.
Bro, they don't know what's coming. They don't know what's coming.
This is for Dinah!
You gonna rape my sister? No, never again.
You gotta be crazy.
You guys gonna learn.
You going too far, Shechem!
every city in Canaan will know not to mess with the Hebrews. Jacob has already had his share of ups and downs, but even more was on the horizon. The Schemite Prince had defiled his daughter. When Jacob's sons heard of this, they were outraged. In this episode, we will cover Genesis chapters 33 through 35. In these chapters, we see Jacob's fateful reunion with Esau. We hear of his son's deceptive avengement of their sister, and we also see him burying his father Isaac. So please enjoy as we delve into these chapters. All right, welcome back to another episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Tuning in here in our first episode of 2021.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I pray that this year is filled with a lot of blessings for you guys. And just like we said on Thanksgiving, that you approach everything this year, be anxious about nothing, and make your year filled with thanksgiving and gratitude and joy towards God. So we don't have a New Year's episode, so we're just going to stick to Genesis.
And then truthfully so, right? And truthfully so, a lot of times in the Bible, they don't tell you the date. You know what I mean? So we don't know we don't know a specific thing that happened on the New Year. You know what I'm saying? We might be wrong, but as it stands right now, I can't think of nothing specific that happened in the New Year in the Bible. So we're just going to continue.
And plus, that calendar was different.
Oh, true. I didn't know. So yeah, we're just gonna continue with our regular scheduled program. Mr. Jacob, now called Israel. So, while we're on the topic of New Year, we could say that he was one of the New Year, new me type. It might have not even been a new year, but this is a new guy we talking about all the same. You know what I'm saying?
So you're changing him, you're a new guy.
So not really, but he got a new name because he became a new guy type of situation. You know what I'm saying? Even like going back to last week's episode, after he had already proven to have struggled with God and man, you know what I'm saying, and was successful in both of those situations, that's when the angel of God gave him the new name, bro. You're not Jacob no more, bro. You're not the supplanter no more. You're somebody who could stand the test of time and who is faithful and persistent. You know what I'm saying? So this ain't the supplanting guy no more. This a determined person, I would say. Ambitious type of guy.
I mean, I only can imagine that wrestling with God would have some effect on you.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just think about it, man. You wrestled someone with, I would say, supernatural strength, and you lasted all 12 plus rounds. You made it to the decision.
You lost until daybreak, to the point where the angel was like, all right, man, this dude not letting up. I gotta turn it up a notch on him just to get him to calm down type of situation.
I gotta go for the KO.
Right. And it's funny to me because you can tell he's a humble guy, Because if you had those type of abilities, bro, why you ain't, when Laban was running on with you, why you ain't sure what's going on, dog? You feel me? He chose peace, and you can respect that because he was able to use these things when it was time to defend himself, but not being an aggressor type of situation. Because if you think you can fight, to some degree, you could be fearless, especially if it's a one-on-one type of situation. But now, after that long night of wrestling, after the long few days that you've had, no lie, you just had this one person was trying to kill you. God ended up helping you all to patch it up. All right, cool. You traveled some more. You try to patch things up with your brother. Your brother didn't even respond to you. You sent him a gift offering. You kissing up to him. He didn't even respond. It's just him and his 400 men chilling. You know what I mean?
And so now, right? So now this brings us to where we are today. And so in Genesis chapter 33, we see that now Jacob looked up, and then there was his wonderful brother Esau, the hairy one.
That's what I'm saying, bro. You go for a long night of wrestling, bro. You finally catch yourself after all of that, and now you look up, and who you see?
Esau coming with his 400 men. And so now Jacob was not hiding his love for Rachel. You see what this man do? He say, okay, guess what? He put the female servants in front with their children. Behind them, he say, okay, Leah and your children next. Now behind Leah, I'm gonna put Rachel and Joseph. I'm like,
man.
think about who it was, Bilhah and I forget her name right now, but they were in front. Just looking at like think about it. They knew they were the sacrificial pieces. That's just sad. And their children. So imagine like you saying like, well, dang, Joseph is the favorite one for real already because they in the back. But in Jacob's defense, he did go in front of all of them and put himself out there. And so now, I have a question for you. Do you think Esau had a change of heart? Because the Bible say there was no animosity. They saw each other. They threw each other. They embraced. They hugged, and they kissed on his neck. and they wept.
Bro, that's so interesting because like if you just reading it nonchalantly as I did a few times, it's like I was almost led to believe that Esau might have been pulling his leg this whole time. Like when he did, like when you just messing with someone just to get you scared, like have you thinking, oh, I'm coming with 400 man and da 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 da. Then when I see you, just kidding, type of situation. Sincerely, I believe, bro, between the time when the servants went to send a message to Esau to then, which would have been like 2-3 days max, Esau had a complete change of heart, bro. And the reason why I'm saying that is because of the weeping and stuff. This wasn't like I got you, like a practical joke type of situation, bro. This was a burden lifted off of both of their hearts, bro. But another thing I wanted to mention too, though, I feel like Jacob also had a change of heart too, because in the chapter before, it led me to believe that Jacob was afraid. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, he's doing everything just to kiss up to Esau, just to pacify the situation, right? He even stayed in the wilderness by himself, maybe to pray. You know what I'm saying? But after that encounter with God, where you wrestled with God, and now that you are forgiven because you are a new person, you are a new being, I feel like Jacob could have came to Esau with a type of security in God that he was going to be okay. Because days before, God came to him and they spoke. And then he saw an angel face to face. You know what I'm saying? So it's like God is going out his way to secure Jacob. After all that he's been through, God is going out his way to comfort him and to strengthen him in his beliefs. And I feel like this is because of somebody who didn't give up on his relationship with God type of situation. That's why God's saying you wrestle with God on man. You know what I'm saying? You have done stuff to separate you from God, but that ain't allow you to stop trying to fight and to try to mend this relationship. And that ain't stop you from being faithful. Sometimes, like, you might do something bad in the past, and you might just give up and say, man, I already gone too far. Like, I just can keep going in this type of lifestyle. But it just showing me that Jacob wasn't the type of person to even be of that mindset. Like, so when he saw Esau, I feel like he came to Esau with like a confidence in God type of situation. Now, whatever happens. That's why he could have been at the front type of situation. That's being a man, but whatever happens. I know God got me type of situation, and by the grace of God, they were able to come and embrace each other, and weep and just squash all of the beef from there.
I mean, that's 20 years they've been separated.
That's crazy. And that's your twin. That's your twin brother.
20 long years you've been separated. And it just even goes to show too, because the next thing Esau, after they did all of that, Esau looked up and said, like, who are those right behind you?
Right.
Like, who are those women and children? Who are these with you? He goes, oh yeah, these are children God graciously given your servant. And that's the next thing I want to just like highlight again. You see, Jacob is still trying to go out of his way to submit before Esau.
See, and that's the manly thing to do as well, because like you wrong somebody, like it's like like from the fact that you already wrong somebody, you don't come at them with a type of pride or arrogance type of situation, even if God got your back. I feel like Jacob's still of the mindset of trying to make things right and trying to right his wrongs.
I mean, and part of it still says he might have still had that little bit of fear in him. Well, let me not skip. So in verse 8, you should say, so like, what was all the meanings of all those flocks and herds you sent to me? And Jacob's like, to find favor in your eyes, my Lord. But Esau was like, I already have plenty, bro. Well, he literally said, my brother. So, bro, keep what you have for yourself. And now we see Jacob start to beg him, no, please take it. If I found favor in your eyes, accept these gifts from me. For to see your face is like seeing the face of God. Now that you have received me favorably, please accept the present that was brought to you, for God has been gracious to me, and I have all I need. And Jacob insisted Esau accept it. Then Esau say, anyway, let's go on our way. I'll accompany you. And so now we see Jacob is like, okay, my my children are tender, but the children are tender, and I must care for the sheep and the cows that are nursing their young. If they have driven too hard, just one day all the animals will die. So let my Lord go on ahead of his servant while I move along slowly at the pace of the flocks and the herds before me, and the pace of the children until I come to you, Lord, in Seir. So we see Jacob still didn't even like go where Esau resided. And then we see Esau went to Seir, and Joseph ended up just saying, you know what, I'm going to go to Succoth, which literally means shelters. So why do you think Jacob didn't go to where Esau was?
Boy, I don't even know, bro. I feel like it could have been a situation where he could have been skeptical, but then it could have also been a situation where it's like you with all of these men, and y'all is like army men, then y'all just ready for war, and I with my family and stuff like that. And it's like the culture's too different. Like y'all just big and aggressive, and I might be trying to protect my children from picking up any habits from y'all type of situation. You know what I mean? Or it could have been a situation where it's like, bro, I done traveled for all of this time, and I done been through a lot these past couple of days, and I really just want to rest and be with my children and comfort them, because these were traumatic experiences that we just overcame, So I don't know. Like, I'm only speculating right now, but I don't know for sure why he didn't want to go with Esau. But, the fact of the matter is he was like, all right, we done had our moment, and let me just be on my farm right now. And then, we can catch up at another time type of situation.
I wonder if it's just because of the influences that may have been in Esau's household. I'm just going back and reflecting on like some of the stuff we talked about in previous episodes of how Esau had 4 wives, and then 2 of them were Ishmaelites. The other 2 were from Canaan. So it's like I can say relatively confidently that house wasn't really following God. Per se. So now we see, and then Esau didn't even want the birthright to begin because he despised that birthright so much.
Yep.
So that might have been some of the influences that Jacob was like, yeah, bro, it's good to see you. I just want to make sure I find this favor in your eyes so I don't have to really worry about you killing me anymore. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. I'm gonna come down here.
Yeah. So like Hebrews 12 verse 16. See that no one is sexually immoral or is godless like Esau, who for a single meal sold his inheritance rights as the oldest son. And that's Hebrews 12 verse 16, reading from the New International Version. And so like 20 years had passed, but the Esau that you remember wasn't someone who regarded God a lot, so like you with your children, bro, and these guys might live a rock star lifestyle, and you might just be like, I don't really want my children around this type of situation, because like he said, they tend to, bro, y'all are grown men and y'all manly men and y'all like ready for war and stuff. So I don't really want my children around this aggressive type of stuff. Like we just need to chill, especially since we just overcame in the past couple of weeks. It's been a lot of drama in my household, and now God has successfully squashed all the beefs in my life. And so now is the time, and I could just just relax and unwind. So yeah, that could strongly be a possibility why they didn't continue to journey together type of situation.
Yeah. And so at the closing of chapter 33, we see in verse 18, then Jacob came from Padan Aram, and he arrived safely in the city of Shechem in Canaan and camped within the site of the city. For 100 pieces of silver, he bought from the sons of Hamor, the fathers of Shechem, a plot of ground where he pitched his tent. There he set up an altar and called it El Eloi Israel, which really means the God of Israel, or mighty God. Mighty is the God of Israel. So now we get to chapter 34 of Genesis. And honestly, man, I don't remember this chapter when I was growing up. This is a chapter they don't really tell us about as kids. There are no Bible stories on chapter 34 of the Bible. 34 of Genesis. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I don't remember ever seeing this animated.
They didn't seem to cover this in Sabbath school.
No, not at all.
But you know what? The Bible is such an interesting book, and it covers a lot. I feel like whatever genre of readings that you like, you could find some places in the Bible. Like I have a friend, he doesn't believe, like he believes in God and he worships God, but he doesn't get into any like type of specific religion. And, you know, he and we speak a lot, and he told me that what he likes about the Bible is like the wisdom that you could get, you know, the knowledge. And so if you into that type of thing, the Bible is there for you. If you into history, the Bible is there for you, X, Y, Z. But right now, in this specific chapter, this is for the people who are into like drama. And there's a lot of drama in Genesis. Don't get me wrong. Ain't no shortage of drama in Genesis, but also action. You understand what I'm saying? So like you can read books like, you know, like Game of Thrones, stuff like that. And it's a lot of action. This chapter right here, it's like, it's a lot of action too in this same chapter. And this regular, bro, this ain't like somebody going to war, like, you know, David, you know, slay this 10,000s, like, you know, this stuff, but this like completely came out of nowhere to me. You know, came out of the content.
I remember I first I shouldn't say first, but how I like got reacquainted with this. I remember in the Bible study we was hosting, we read this in Patriarchs and Prophet, and Patriarchs and Prophet just brushed over it. And we were like, hold on, what's happening? What's happening? So we decided to pick up the Bible and we read Genesis 34. And we were like, whoa, where did this story come from?
And you know what's so funny about that? We was reading Patriarchs and Prophets from the perspective of people who seemingly knew Genesis very well. So we were like an intermediate version of Bible studies. And we like, yeah, we can just read Patriarchs and Prophets because we already remember everything. You know what I'm saying? But she get to talking about Simeon and Levi. And I'm like, all right, I remember these names in the tribe. You know what I'm saying?
I did not know they were capable of this.
Right. Like the way, because she referenced how, if I remember correctly, she referenced what Jacob said about them while he was passing away. You know what I'm saying? Like he was saying like instruments of murder or something crazy like that. And I was just like, why is she giving it up like that? Like, why are they talking about these guys like this though? Like, why? Because they sold Joseph into slavery? You know what I'm saying? But little did I know, these guys had their own episode of their, like they had their own episode that's completely unrelated to anything else. And it's just those two gentlemen, Simeon and Levi.
Just like how we said the Bible goes on commercial breaks, it was like this brief commercial break that the Bible went on again in Genesis 34. Because I mean, even how it ends, it just ends as like a cliffhanger. It's just like bing. Anyway, let's just get to it. So we see Dina, or how would you pronounce it? Dina?
I'd pronounce it Dina. But
Dana? We just go with Dana.
I was listening to the translation that said Dinah. D-I-N-A-H is the spelling of the word.
Dinah.
Let's not get caught up on the pronunciation, but I say Dina. You know what I'm saying?
Anyway, so Dina, right? The daughter of Leah had born to Jacob. Granted, this is the only sister they highlight in the Bible. This is the only one that gets shine.
that was almost one of the biggest things that was like, whoa, sister. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see, because honestly, if we could call a spade, the Bible does not shed a lot of light on women in the Bible, like during this time at all. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, but yeah. So when it was like sister, I was like, wait, I didn't remember that I'm having a sister.
Me,
first of all, you know what I'm saying? And that sister had such a episode. But anyway, let's get into it.
So she went out to visit with the women of the land. Now, Shechem, son of Hamor the Hivite, the ruler of that area, he was like the prince, saw her. He took her and raped her, according to the New International Version. If you read it, go for it.
Yeah, the KJV says defiled her. But I interpret that as being raped just because of everything else that transpired afterward.
And then after that, so after he did his act, his heart was drawn to Dinah, daughter of Jacob. He loved the young woman and spoke tenderly to her. And Shechem said to his father Hamor, "Get me this girl as my wife."
See, this is a prince, bro. This is a prince. This is a prince talking. So we know how kings and princes, how they give it up back in them, bro. Like, you see something you like, that's yours. Right?
You see Pharaoh, Abimelech.
Right.
Yep.
Right. That's the exact people who are going to reference. And they're willing to kill you for that. So we have somebody who obviously she wasn't married, so it wasn't technically anyone to kill, you know. But we have somebody who
was there. Continue.
Ooh. But anyway, right? We have somebody who took matters into his own hands. He didn't, because, and it's like they have, like kings and stuff back in them days, they came up with such entitlement, like, I want you, I have sexual desires for you, and I'm going to take that. Like, they were very rapey. And that's what this guy, and that's just how this guy, that's how he got down, like, straight up. And you know what? I want to take this time to say, this isn't an opportunity where you could victim blame, right? Because the Bible paints the picture. She went out with the daughters, what did it say? The daughters of the land.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So we know the followers of God were all of your family, basically. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, basically she went out to hang out and probably have a good time with people of the world, you know, and as a result, this happened. But I mean, just because you're in a bad situation, that don't give someone the right to rape you type of situation. You know what I'm saying? So this guy was out of pocket no matter how you look at it, right? And so in doing so, he had a change of heart maybe, and he decides, wow, I really like this girl. As a matter of fact, I know I've wronged her, and I kind of want to right my wrongs in a type of situation. Of course, we don't know how Dinah felt towards him. We don't know if she liked him or not. You know what I'm saying? In that type of way. My strong guess is no. You feel me? But this guy was like, man, as a prince, he's like, you know what? I'm ready to marry this girl. You know what I'm saying? I don't want it to just be like a one-off thing where I violate this girl. I actually want to make her my wife. You know?
And like you just pointed out, was very interesting thing that just had me thinking. The Bible don't really say if Dinah was really for it or not, you know.
Right.
I could be so wrong. I mean, because even like, I guess I'm looking past the rape incident. I'm not saying looking past, it sounds kind of wrong. He was wrong in that aspect, for sure. I'm going like, okay, after he said, okay, I don't want to just be one and done. I want to, you know, marry her now. I want to take her as my wife. I don't really see us saying, oh yeah, sure, this is a good idea. Let's go for it.
Right, because like that's like a Disney fairy tale right now. Oh, a prince wants to marry me type of situation, you know? So we don't know what her demeanor was, but it's like, you just get raped by, like, do you want to marry your abuser type of situation?
Yeah, no.
You know, so like it's weird.
And then so now we see Jacob heard about this, right? So we heard his daughter is being defiled, and his sons were in the field with some cattle, livestock. And so he did nothing until they came home, which is also interesting to me because I'm like, you had us, but you say, okay, we just gonna have a family meeting. I'd act up and be like, yo, let's what? I don't care if you're the king or not. We gotta handle the situation.
See, but you thinking about Israel, this ain't Jacob, bro. This Israel right now. This amount of peace, bro. All his beef's already squashed, bro. I feel like this guy, like, look, I don't want to pick up no more beef for the rest of my life, bro. You know what I'm saying? he had enough, bro, and rightfully so, you know. So I feel like a serious situation like this, because number one, now a prince want to marry your daughter. So besides the rape, if a prince want to marry your daughter, that's something, you consult the whole family about. But now it's like the rape too, because this is a known fact. I feel like that's something you should talk to your fam about too. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we move forward from here? Because this is a very perplexing situation, even as a father. One thing I do want to note though is that we don't know what Leah looked like. We know how Rachel was described. But the daughter of Leah was somebody who the prince said his soul claved unto Dinah. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I could make the assumption that she was an attractive woman, you know what I'm saying? Attractive girl.
I mean, if we using the Abraham story, Pharaoh only wants the best.
For sure, and this
king only wants the best.
Right, And so like this just to shoot Leah some bail, because she could be painted as an unfavorable person. And they only describe her eyes, really. You know what I'm saying? Right. So anyway, let's get back to the story. So my guy, he got the family together. Which verse is this? Yeah. And the sons of Jacob came out of the field when they heard it, and the men were grieved, and they were very wroth, because he had wrought folly in Israel in lying with Jacob's daughter, which thing ought not to be done.
Man, in my version say they were shocked and furious because Shechem had done this outrageous thing in their household by sleeping with their sister.
King James get too poetic on him, man. Let's just keep it real, though. They was upset, and that's a natural human emotion too, though, because like, bro, what you doing, bro? My sister, bro, are you crazy? Are you crazy? You know what I'm saying?
Bro, I only could imagine, because bro, I would not be very thrilled if someone was to do anything to my sister.
To put it lightly, you know what I'm saying? And it's so interesting because these guys, they probably couple of his sons, they probably understand what their daddy was on. There's daddy on the peace and love type of situation. So, we don't gotta fully involve him in what we thinking. You know what I'm saying? But we'll take matters into our own hands, as we're seeing.
So I'll go for it.
No, go on.
So now we see Hamor said to, I guess, the household of Jacob at this point, because he said to them, my son has set his heart on your daughter. Please give him to her as his wife. And then he tried to sweeten the deal. Guess what? You guys can intermarry with us. You can give us your daughters, and you can take our daughters for yourselves. You can settle here. The land is open to you. You can live in it. You can trade. You can acquire property.
Bro, that's how you know. That's how you know your boy really was trying to right his wrongs.
But now,
because he sent his daddy to talk, the ruler. So, because how you can deny the king? Number one, and the king ain't saying, "I taking this." The king saying, "Bro, let's all win." You know what I'm saying? Let's build our houses together.
See, he let his daddy talk first, because now you see, then after his daddy say his piece, he started talking. He said, "Guess what?" He said to them, "Let me find favor in your eyes. I will give you whatever you ask. Make the price for your bride and the gift I am to bring as great as you like, and I will pay whatever you ask me. Only give me the young woman as my wife." So now we can see he's saying, "Guess what? I know I'm supposed to pay for this, but I the prince. So whatever you ask me, I can make it happen." So now you see, he really trying to right his wrongs. He's saying, "You know what? I know what I do. So I really try to right this wrong by just paying it off." Typical entitled person mentality. I'm gonna just buy my way out of this problem. That's kind of what he was trying to say. I'm gonna just buy my way out of this problem.
Yeah. What you think Laban would have done?
Wait, Laban sound like he would have taken that money.
You can't trust Laban not to take the money, bro. Wow. See, but it just go to show sometimes, but
Laban sound like he'd take that money.
For sure, but then at the same time, money ain't everything, bro. Money ain't gonna bring back the embarrassment. Ain't gonna take away the embarrassment which you put on my family and my sister. You know what I mean? And then ego is involved. How I gonna look if you defile me? You disrespect me because you disrespect my sister, and I just allow you to just come and say you can give me whatever. No, bro, I ain't calling the shots, bro. It ain't on your terms, bro. It's on my terms. You feel me? Type that. And that's the demeanor that these gentlemen, came up with. But let me stop spoiling it.
I mean, but like, see, so now we see they replied back. So now we see Jacob's sons replied, and in verse 13 in the NIV it says they replied deceitfully. So we already know they got something up their sleeves. Even the King James, and they say they replied deceitfully, right?
Yep.
And they say, guess what? We can't do such a thing. We can't give our sister to a man who is not circumcised. That would be a disgrace to us. We will enter into an agreement with you on only one condition, that you become like us, circumcising all the males in your household. Then we will give you our daughters to take as your daughters as yourselves. We will settle among you and become one people with you. But if you do not agree to be circumcised, we will take our sister and go. So what you was doing, Ghazi? You was taking that proposal?
Who am I? I'm the prince, right?
Yeah.
Bro, listen to me. If my soul claveth for a woman, bro, you understand what I'm saying? And it's like, I tell you I was going to give you all the money that you could ask for, and you tell me all I got to do is get circumcised.
Mm-hmm.
For the woman that my soul claveth, I'd get circumcised, bro. You know what I mean? Because there's a little bit of pain I can go through. And to me, it's only right that I experience pain because I already put this family through pain. So I feel like that's a fair trade now. It ain't fair for the people in my household who just gotta do this because I accept this type of situation. But like I don't even think that's a big deal. Abraham had to get circumcised when he was mad old. You know what I'm saying? Bro was like 80 or 90. You feel me? Getting circumcised. Like people go through it. Like it ain't the worst thing. It's painful, but it ain't the worst thing in the world. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, I could do that. Because at the end of the day, it ain't cap. It ain't a lie. You know, like the members in their household were circumcised. You know, but it was deceit behind why you saying that.
I like how the Bible point that out.
So if that's what it can be anyway. Yeah, that's good. That's good of the Bible. Good foreshadowing type situation.
Because honestly, if you didn't read deceitfully, you just think it's a fair exchange. So I'd be like, oh, okay, they actually going along with this plan. Bible saying deceitfully, and then
what nice guys.
And then we see why it was deceitful, right? So now we see in verse 18, Shechem and Hamor, they liked the proposal. A young man who was most honored of all his father's family lost no time in doing what they said because he was delighted with Jacob's daughter. So Hamor and Shechem, they went back to the city at the gate and spoke to the man of the city. They say, guess what? These people are friendly. Let them live in our lands and trade in it. The land has plenty room for them. We can marry their daughters and they can marry ours. But the men will agree to live with us only on one condition, that our males be circumcised as they are. Won't their livestock, their property, and all the other animals become ours? So let us agree to their terms and they will settle among us. Mercy.
Well, that sounds like a good deal.
But I like how they were saying, yeah, like, so guess what? And you can see like they're like real rulers too, saying that political speak. Guess what? We let them come here, all their stuff gonna be ours. So let's just do it.
Right, but he already saying, this guy I trip out over, well, I feel passionately about. And there's more where that came from, you know, and these are nice guys. And they got a lot of livestock and stuff, bro. Like, y'all would be stupid not to take up this deal, bro. This is a good deal, basically. That's how he presented it to them. And like, if you listen to it, if I was them, I'd be like, that ain't a bad deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the prince get a nice girl from this, like, I'm sure someone else could get it, or we all could. You know what I'm saying? So like, let's do it type of situation. And then at the end of the day, because I'm the prince, you don't really have an opinion on this. You know what I'm saying? I only make it sound good so you can be comfortable doing it, you know?
You really don't have an option.
No.
So now we see everybody in the city get circumcised. And they was following their ruler's lead. But now in verse 25, we see 3 days later, while everybody was in pain. Imagine you get circumcised, now you in pain. And the Bible says 2 of Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, obviously Dinah's brothers, they took their swords and attacked the unsuspecting city, killing every single male. Let that sink in, bro. These guys
Mm,
probably weren't even 20 yet. So we have like these two
that's
teenagers.
crazy, bro.
We have these two teenagers that just ran up in a city and killed all the males. My oh my, they put Hamor and his son Shechem to the sword
And bro, this had
took
been sitting
Dinah
on your
back.
mind for days, bro.
Mercy. That just shows the vengeance and the anger that was just boiling in them. And we see they looted the city where this is being defiled. They took all their flocks and their herds and their donkeys and everything else that was in the city and in theirs and out in the fields, and they carried off all the city's wealth. And all their women and children taking as plunder everything in the houses. Bro, they literally ransacked that city.
Boy,
That is insane.
boy. Bro, you know, bro, that's what I'm saying though, bro. That's what I'm saying. As teenage men or teenage young men, y'all devise a plan to kill every single man in a city, bro. Like imagine one of the outer islands, bro. I know how big the city was, but imagine me saying, bro, we just could run to one of these outer islands, bro. Kill every man, take all the women, take all the jewelry, all the possessions as our own, bro. That's a big heist for two young men to be thinking about and pulling off, bro. Like these guys was different, bro. And to add another layer of complexity, this was a king and a prince you do this to. You understand? Like no regard, bro. Like, and that, bro, that's just going to show you how upset they was because of what this man do. But then the type of hearts these guys had. This make me want to ask the question if this was their first time killing someone or something, bro. Bro, going through all of that is your first time? Do you have a conscience?
Because I don't even think, like how you say it was sitting on their mind for a couple of days, I don't even think this was really sitting on their mind. You see the Bible say, deceitfully they proposed this plan. So that means this was on their mind from day one. Like we see the Bible say they were shocked, outraged, and anger when they heard the news. So they was ever saying we gonna get back. But they said, okay, how we gonna get back? They said, okay, you know what we gonna do? We gonna slow them down. We gonna make sure they can't defend themselves. And we're gonna let them circumcise themselves. So you wanted this bad? Prove it. Okay, yeah, circumcise yourself.
And that's what I saying, bro. So you had all that time to have a change of heart, to get over it. You know what I mean? This premeditated murder is essentially what I'm saying. You know? So you mad, you super upset because of this. Days go by. Y'all make a agreement. Days go by again, and you still going through it. But like no time, he was like, you know what? Anyway, I ain't even gonna carry on like that no more. You feel me? Yeah, but they going all the way, bro. And that's like to me, that's crazy. When I read this in the Bible, I was like, wow, bro. These was Joseph brothers? No wonder why Josephine had a chance, bro. You know what I'm saying?
So where was Reuben?
I don't know where Reuben was, but it's like to me, I don't based on understanding Reuben's character, I don't see Reuben as a violent person. You know what I mean? He might have been shiesty or deceptive, you know, but like violence, I don't see him as someone who like resulted in violence, you know? So they probably didn't even consult Reuben with this, and that's their big bro. You know, this bro number 2 and number 3 who actually take all these matters into their own hands.
Yeah, we know they have a history of not consulting Reuben. Foreshadowing alert. So, and so now we see Jacob wasn't happy that they did this. He said, you brought more trouble on me by making me obnoxious to the Canaanites and Perizzites. The people living in this land, we are only few in number. And if they join forces against me and attack me, I and my household will be destroyed. What was Simeon's and Levi's response to this? Something so simple. Would you rather our sister be treated like a prostitute?
So to them, it's like, bro, you know, negotiation. What you talking about, daddy? Like to them, it's like, bro, I'm willing to get slewed by the surrounding cities at the chance to avenge my sister. You know what I mean? And like, bro, honestly, so we know Jacob spent a lot of time as a shepherd. You know, he probably was in the fields a lot. But I just wonder, like, what was his parenting skills really like? Because those older boys, They were a handful. I can tell you that for sure. His older children, they were a handful. And some of the children, some of his sons that we don't know what they were like, but the ones that we do know what they were like, they were some serious guys, like for real.
But I honestly think that household grew up with a lot of animosity because, just think about it. We saw what Isaac went through with, was it Isaac? Abraham went through with Sarah and Hagar, just having two wives, and then just have all of this animosity between the two wives already. But then think about Jacob. He had realistically 4 wives in a sense. He had the 2 maidservants, and then he also had Rachel and Leah. And we know Leah was kind of contentious against Rachel for a while. We highlighted that bitter rivalry those two had when they were naming their children. When Leah could have had children and Rachel couldn't, Rachel gave the maidservant to have children. And then Leah said, okay, I'm going to give my maidservant to have children. And then Rachel finally had a kid. And Leah, had a kid. And then so it's like, you can see like that whole dynamic was bitter. And then you still had Jacob who wasn't hiding that he favored Rachel. So imagine how the other 3 felt. Like, we all have children for you.
Yeah.
So now we even could see how even later on down the line, how there was even more animosity just towards Joseph when he was born. So, I think that whole family was just kind of in a tight. And then some of this could be even because, you still got to pay for your sins. Like, Jacob really just paying for his sins.
Yeah, and then think about it like this, right? If you already look at your daddy and saying, this man don't really love us like how you can see how we love his other children.
Mm-hmm.
This man don't really care about us this much. Could we trust him to put his foot down and avenge us, the children of Leah and her servant? So that might be another reason why them guys was just like, bro, I ain't even waiting on daddy and I ain't consulting daddy because our father does not care about us the way that he cares about his beloved children or child at this moment, and yeah, that's crazy, bro. So like, even like looking back at it, when I read this was really like a surprise, and it was like I felt adrenaline while I was reading this. I'm like, bro, what's going on? Like, what's going on? And like, to me, this is like it's like kind of suspenseful too in a little bit. And I just was like, this is a crazy story. These 2 young men came up with such a plan, and they like, no lie. And I don't like to bring up like secular shows and stuff while during the pod, but this reminds me of the Red Wedding episode of Game of Thrones. We don't got to linger on it, but it's like the arc of deception and then just a mass murder like afterwards. And these young men, bro, this was blowing my mind, dog. Like, this wasn't something where I was like, oh, that's crazy, and then move on. I was just like, what? Joseph children? Jacob children,
yep.
Jacob children, bro, murderers like that? Like, really? These guys were crazy, and this makes me believe, bro, was this their first murder? Like, that's the type of stuff I was thinking about, bro. You this how you coming straight out the gate? Or did y'all already have to do what y'all had to do early on? Like, y'all, these ruthless, that's a ruthless arc, bro. You kill every man, and then there's anger, right? You already killed the one person who did the thing. You kill his father, you kill his brothers if he had brothers, cousins, everybody in the line. Then you take their women, you take their spoils. Bro, that's a lot, dog. You know what I'm saying?
That's a lot for 2
And like, I just look at this like, wow, this is like action-packed, you know?
Super action-packed, man.
So like, to me, if we were to make a real show or movie about this stuff, trust me, this could go toe to toe with a lot of shows and a lot of movies, bro. There's a lot of action, bro, and this based on real life type of situation, bro. And I just try to get people to understand, like, everything within Hollywood and stuff. A lot of this stuff is based on what you see in the Bible, bro. And not even the lingo on that point. The things that you enjoy about other books, you could find in the Bible as well. And that has been my big thing. If you're into action, bro, I can show you places where it's action, dog. You know what I'm saying? And this real life, bro. And then at the end of the day, it have a divine message behind it. Like, those other stuff, it just entertain you, and then you can want more and want more, bro. But the scene helping your salvation, really? The scene really get you nowhere. It's fun and entertaining. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I could give you entertaining and I could give you spiritual at the same time. You know what I mean? And that's what I get from chapters like this in the Bible.
The perfect combination, entertaining and spiritual. Are you not entertained?
Right. Are you not entertained? Right.
So yeah, I mean, and then we just see that's how chapter 35 just ended. Do you want our sister to be a prostitute? And then we see in 35, it was like none of that happened. Then God came to Jacob and told him to go to Bethel and settle there and build an altar to God who appeared to you when you were fleeing from your brother Esau. So you're like, I remember reading, I was like, okay, so is there more to the Dinah story? I was getting to chapter 35 just looking for more. Go for it.
Yeah, to me, this was just like God saying, all right, you already had to flee once before. Let's do it again. You know what I mean? And we ain't doing nothing new. You're going back to the same place. You're going to build an altar once again because now you're fleeing from the cities type of situation. Because that's what it was like. Once you already kill all the people in that city, what else can happen? The only thing else what can happen is when the nearby cities end up catch a word about it or they realize what happened. It ain't too hard to put two and two together. It was the Israelites staying in the city with these guys. All of these guys are dead, and now the Israelites still alive. It ain't too hard to put two and two together. You know what I'm saying? And so God ended up telling Jacob, all right, this could be too hot for y'all to stay around here. So I need you to go back to Bethel. You know what I'm saying? Set up an altar. You know how we used to do it, bro. You already flee before. Let's just run that back type of situation.
And we see now Jacob, like he got his household together and he said, you know what? Get rid of the foreign gods you have with you and purify yourselves and change your clothes. Then come, let us go to Bethel and we will build an altar to God who answered me in the day of my distress and who has been with me wherever I've gone. So Jacob gave So they gave Jacob all their foreign gods that they had and the rings in their heirs. And Jacob buried them under the oak at Shechem. Then they set out and the terror of God fell on the towns all around them so that no one pursued them.
All right. So remember, bro, when Eliezer came to Rebecca, he put a nose ring in her nose. And I said that was 1.4 jewelry. Right? We got to keep score and we got to do it objectively. This would be a point against jewelry. Why? Because now earrings is associated with strange gods. Okay, so we remember who was it? Rachel had took the idols from Laban. Now it's like no lie. During this time, you could see there was a lot of idol worship going on, and it appears that the Israelites or the descendants of Abraham were the only ones who did not worship idols because they knew the Most High God. But there were still influences from the towns where they lived. So now we trying to reset now, okay? My children have already went too far, and now we need a cleanse. We need a purification. So the first thing we doing, we getting rid of all of these strange gods. And one of the things that they specifically mentioned was earrings. You understand? So it's like my research, and I'm trying to go into this unbiased. You know what I'm saying? Trying to understand why in the Adventist culture, it's like one of the doctrines not to wear jewelry. Because it ain't, I haven't seen anything that comes out and say, thou shalt not wear jewelry. But I have seen situations where people have worn jewelry. And so now, right now, like keeping record, I see a point against jewelry. So now with this earring situation, to me, this implies that earrings had something to do with idol worship or with strange god worship, just based on this isolated text right here.
I wonder if Jacob I wonder if Jacob like told them the full story of what happened that night. Because he's saying, yeah, we're going back to Bethel. But I wonder if he actually gave them like the full, complete rundown. Like, yeah, this is the night I wrestled with God. This is the night when, he actually changed my name. Like, I'm no longer Jacob. You guys still calling me Jacob, but my real name is Israel. He changed my name that night. Like, I don't know if he actually painted the pictures, and God renewed his covenant with me that night. Like, all that time I spent with your granddad, Laban, and
but I I think I get the names mixed up, but I remember one of the episodes we was talking about when we the first say Bethel. Remember we was saying his church's name Bethel XYZ.
Yeah, Bethel House of God.
Right, that was when he saw the ladder.
Oh, the ladder. Bing.
Right. So this was even before the wrestling, because the wrestling probably was just like maybe within the same years. All of this happening, or maybe not. We don't know. It could have been years later. We don't know. The Bible don't say. But this was a time before he even had children. This was when he first moved. This was when he first was in exile from Esau. So, bro, honest to God, I could understand my boy going down memory lane and saying, "Yeah, buddy, this was when." This was a dark time. This was the time of trouble for me. The first time. Now it's the second time I in a time of trouble. And you can see him. He going back to basics, bro. It's a time, man. All right, so the concept of fasting to me, right? It's certain things that you could accomplish through fasting and prayer. That's what Jesus said when they were trying to when they were trying to perform miracles to disciples. And if I'm wrong, we could just punch in somewhere. Anyway, and I can keep that in too. But anyway, right? So I used to wonder, what's it about fasting? But sometimes I think that depriving yourself of something, taking away something, especially food, you become weak without food. And that way you can rely on God, because in our weakness, he is made strong, right? A situation where we see they take away other things that they felt that empowered them in some type of way. These idols, you take these things away so that now we could focus, directly on God without the distractions. You know what I mean? And in doing so, we can see as a result, God visited the nearby towns so that they don't bother them and they don't seek vengeance. God put fear in these towns so that they can be protected. And it go to show that when this Bethel area, when I go back down to the time when I had nothing but God, so in doing all of that, I could see Jacob going to his children and his family and everybody and just telling them, bro, this was a dark time for me. And this is what I had to do. When I had nothing, God visited me and I erected an altar and stuff like that. And now I have a lot, but it seems like we lost sight of a lot of things. So let's get rid of these things and let's get back to basics. And I can't think of another way he could tell them to get back to basics without giving them the rundown of the whole spiel from before.
We see Jacob made it to Bethel and he built the altar and called it El Bethel because it was there that God revealed himself to him when he was fleeing from his brother. And just like you say, it's like that perfect symmetry. Like you were fleeing from your brother then and you went to Bethel. Now you're fleeing from the other nations so they don't come against you. You're going back to Bethel. And now the Bible highlights in verse 8, Rebekah's nurse who died. And I know when we're talking about last chapter, we said that the Bible doesn't highlight females. And it was just so interesting that this one nurse was so precious to the family that their name was recorded in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just interesting. So highlight to the nurse that died, Deborah.
So this is the thing, right? Last time I read this, last year in Bible study, I don't know why I read Rachel's nurse, but this is Rebecca's nurse, which is a little more interesting to me because how you get there, you know what I mean? And I know, and so the name Alon Bacchus, which they call the oak, it means the oak of weeping. Yeah, the oak of weeping. Does the Bible say that? Because I just Googled that.
No, yeah, the Bible says it in the footnotes. So if you go in the footnotes, you'll see. Yeah, you'll see that. Because they literally buried her by an oak. So I think it was just one of those things where they say, yeah, we're at this oak tree, we're burying her, and we're crying. So we're going to call this place Alam Beketh, the weeping tree.
So to me, that implies how sad it was to lose what her name was?
Deborah.
To lose Deborah. That they say, bro, it was so much crying at this oak that we could name this place the Oak of Crying. You know what I'm saying? So we never heard about this woman before. You know what I'm saying? We'll never hear about her after. And Yeah, so I just feel like the Bible makes a mention of this woman just to show how significant to everyone's lives involved this woman was, and her dying, like how sad it made everybody feel. And this is another commercial break, no lie, because then they go right back to everything
Yeah, and then
else.
Jacob returned to Padan Aram. God appeared to him again and blessed him. And God said, again, like just renewing his promise, your name is Jacob, but you will no longer be called Jacob. Your name will be Israel. So he named him Israel. And God said to him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and increase in number, and nation, and a community of nations will come from you, and kings will be among your descendants. The land I gave to Abraham and Isaac, I will also give to you, and I will give this land to your descendants after you. Then God went up for him at that place where he had talked to him. And then Jacob set up a stone pillar at that place where God had talked with him, and he's poured out a drink offering on it, and he also poured oil on it. And Jacob called that place where God had talked with him Bethel. It almost it just feels like almost like a repeat.
Yeah, I thought he was in the wrong chapter for a second.
I'm like, me too. I was like, oh, this sounds crazy familiar, but it just shows that God just is like reaffirming his promise to him.
Mm.
And now we see the death of Rachel and Isaac. And I just want to say something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, however much years ago, I'm gonna just say 20. Let's just say 20, maybe 22, 23 years ago, right? Isaac called in both Jacob and Esau.
Yep.
And said, I am close to dying. Well, he didn't, I lie. He only called in Esau and say, I'm close to dying. Let me give you this birthright. That's when Jacob came in, supplant him, steal it, deceive him, trickery, whatever. So now we have Rachel and Isaac dying in the same couple of verses. So you're like, bro, you clearly wasn't really about to die. Yeah. You had a couple decades left in you there, bud.
Right, that's crazy because he was blind.
That's a long time to be blind.
Yeah, that's a long time to be blind and dying, bro. And another thing too, you can see Esau. When Esau came with them 400 men, you can see he was getting tired of waiting on his daddy to die. Like, because remember he had said, after my daddy died, then I would slay you. But then 20 years go by, right? Daddy's still alive. And he's like, no, man, I ain't waiting no more, bro. You feel me? I come with my 400 men and we going to do this deed. And I think, God might have preserved his life even just for that too. You know what I'm saying? Because like Esau looked like he was very determined during that time. And I'm just glad by the time that they, that Isaac had passed away, that the two young men had patched things up.
Oh, we got a couple. We got another little golden egg coming up. I shouldn't even call it that, but anyway. So we see while there's some different distance from Ephrath, Rachel began to give birth and had great difficulty. Rachel, and she was having great difficulty giving childbirth. For her midwife said to her, "Don't despair, for you have another son." I found this part kind of comical. So, well, not her dying, but as she was dying, she named the son Ben Oni, and that really means, and that says like son of my sorrow, right? Well, son of my trouble, or son of my sorrows. Yep. And then Jacob was like, nah, his name ain't gonna be Ben Oni. His name gonna be Benjamin, son of my right hand.
Yeah, but like to me, when I listened to it, I was like, wow, bro, you wouldn't even honor your wife's last, like, I guess, command. But when I think about it too, I think about it like this. Excuse me. She was passing away because it was such a troublesome birth that she had no choice but to name him son of my sorrow. But because she passed away, Jacob was looking at it like, bro, I never let you leave my side now because you the last thing to remind me of Rachel. So you're going to be on my side. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm going to name you son of my side. And then you can see where he lived up to that name later on. And you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I feel like he was just saying, bro, I want to remember. I want you to be I don't want to be sad thinking about you for real. Like I want you to just remind me of my wife and just be by my side type of situation. So I feel like that's why he changed the name. So it don't like, I don't remember you. son of my soul. Like every time you say that name, you could just remember what he caused.
Rachel,
you know, and like he's saying, I can give it new meaning. Yep.
See, I was thinking he was like saying, I was thinking he was saying that, I'm gonna call him Benjamin, son of my right hand, just saying that, Rachel was my right hand and you're her son. So, but I like it. I like your breakdown way better.
Yeah. It could be funny when we get to heaven and she tried to call him Ben on I. And his name, he's like, who's that? Anyway.
And then one thing I never really knew was that Rachel was buried in Bethlehem.
Wow.
I know, right?
That is wild, bro.
Look at Bethlehem making an appearance in this episode.
Wow.
Like that's a wow. Like Bethlehem was around for a long time before it became the city of David.
I'm telling you.
And Jacob put over her tomb. Jacob set up a pillar, and to this day, this pillar marks Rachel's tomb. I wonder if that pillar is still there to this day.
Every time the Bible say that, I always just question that. Like, I wonder if it's really to this day.
Like, is it still around now?
Right.
You never know. It might be. I actually didn't do research on it to see.
Yeah, me neither. So,
and then we go off to listing the children of. Oh, and in verse 22, when Israel now, so we call them Israel. When Israel was living in that region, his oldest son Reuben went in and slept with his father's concubine Bilhah. So Reuben, son number 1, went to sleep with Dan and Naphtali's mother. Jacob's children.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, bro. He raised some wild boys, bro. No lie. Like just a chapter before, we see son number 2 and number 3 killing a town of men, taking their wives and spoiling the land. Now, son number 1 in the next chapter is sleeping with your wife's servant, your baby mom. With
his brother's mommy.
His brother's mom. Bro, bro, his children didn't have no law, bro. That's what I'm saying. So, like, I'm pretty sure most people know the story of Joseph. And when you get this type of context, when this happens to Joseph, it's not unbelievable. As a matter of fact, it's pretty gentle considering what these guys are capable of. And that's the funny thing about like learning stories in church and Sabbath school or Sunday school and school. When you learn these things, like you learn isolated stories in the Bible, but a lot of times it's a little bit of context in between that you do not get. And with his sons, like it makes the world of sense why they didn't like Joseph, why Jacob liked Joseph so much, and then why they chose to deal with him in this type of way. But that's a story for another time, bro. Reuben is a wild boy, and this is your first son. You could have had the most time with him because this was your son when you ain't had no other children. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my! So that's just wild. And so now we see the Bible list off the sons and the mom and the sons. So you see 23 sons of Leah, Reuben, the firstborn, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun, sons of Rachel, Joseph, and Benjamin, sons of Bilhah, Dan, and Naphtali, sons of Zilpah, Gad, and Asher. These were Jacob's sons who were born to him in Padan Aram. And then Jacob came to home of his father in Mamre, near Hebron. And that's where Abraham and Isaac stayed. And then you see Isaac lived 180 years, but then he breathed his last breath and died and was gathered to all his people, old and full of years. And his sons Esau and Jacob reunited again, buried him. And I think that's probably the last time they were united.
Yeah, but I'm just glad that Jacob could reunite with his father, before his passing.
One last time. I can imagine that made.
It's been one.
I can imagine that was like a little happy time before Isaac died. Your son's been gone away for a couple decades. At least you got to glimpse him. Well,
yep.
You got to hear his voice again before you died.
Glimpse, that's a euphemism, but I get you. And bro, like it's just sad that he didn't get to Jacob, bro. No lie, dog. No lie. I get touched when I think about the story, when I think about Jacob's life, bro. Like it wasn't that fun of a life. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't that fun of a life, dog. Like after the exile, it was just these years of toil. You know what I'm saying? And then you get your father-in-law is upset with you. Your brother wants to kill you, type of situation, bro. It's like the guy seems restless. You know what I'm saying? And then to top it all off, your son's bringing you stress. 3 of your sons bringing you stress in different ways. You lose your wife. You know, you lose the wife that you work 14 years for. Like, no lie, bro. This just go to show you how even the simplest of sins, bro, it's still sin, and it's still consequences for these type of things, bro. So all of these things that happened to Jacob after the fact could have been avoided had he had been virtuous when it was time for the birthright situation. There was a domino effect. All of these things were domino effects. He wouldn't have had to go and run to see Jacob and Laban. I mean, he wouldn't have had to run to see Laban at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like all of these things happen because of that one mistake that he made. And we know now that because he's Israel, that his name, we know that he's forgiven. You know, but it still just go to show the consequences of your actions and the lessons you have to learn after committing these type of things, bro. Like the devil kind of wants you to think that even the simplest of sins, it's like, oh, that's just a little white lie you did. God don't care about that type of situation, but the Bible, but the devil wants you to think God only care about if you were like a rapist or a murderer or type of situation like that, bro. Being deceptive, any little thing that can be swept under the rug, these type of things, it still puts a wedge between you and God, you know, and you can still be bringing hard times upon yourself, as we see Jacob, bro. And like it's kind of sad, like, because what we do at Breath of Fresh Air, we try to personalize these things, bro. We try to see, because like I feel like reading the Bible shows you so much about human nature, bro. And I learn a lot about humans, you know. I learned how even in the midst of God, people could turn their back from God. I learned that even when Jesus walking on the streets, you could walk past Jesus, you could chill with Jesus, hang with Jesus, and still not know Jesus. You know what I'm saying? So judge if you was a pastor, judge if you in church, all of these things, like to me, none of these, like just from reading the Bible, I understand you can't hold humans to a high regard, bro. It's only God you can hold at this high regard, because he never could fail you, he never could leave you nor forsake you, type of situation. When I look at Jacob specifically, I think about all of the toil and the hardship that Jacob had to go through from that bad decision that he made. And because he did that bad decision, this is a testament to each and every one of us about the consequences of our actions, you know? And this is something we need to take into consideration, how this could affect our children, you know? This could affect us for years and for years and for years. And it's like, my friend, like in the Bahamas, we have a saying, no sin is greater than the next. That's not in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? I understand some texts where that could be alluded to. But at the end of the day, bro, it's like you rather drown in 10 feet of water or 1,000 feet of water. You rather drown in white lies, or you rather drown in murder. Because at the end of the day, that little sin that you committed, separating you from God. The big sin you committed, separating you from God. Which one you rather do? Or you rather not drown at all? So that's the way we need to look at the situations, because even the smallest of sin separates us from God, you know? And so when I look at Jacob, man, like, it's sad, but at the end of the day, I still could be happy that despite all of the toils that he went through, we could still see where him and God still had a tight connection despite all of that. But that don't mean that he was exempt from the consequences of it, you know? Because even sometimes love, like, to love someone is to discipline them at the same time, you know? I just glad that just because he made that bad decision didn't mean that God decided to throw him away.
It seems like there's never a dull moment for the family of Jacob, now called Israel. Here we see the death of Isaac, the father of Jacob and Esau, as well as the death of many others by the hands of Simeon and Levi, the sons of Jacob. But they weren't the only sons to give someone the death penalty. But we'll talk more about Judah and his family on the next episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Tonight's episode included voice acting by Jayden and Jenae Roberts, as well as your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz. Remember to go ahead and research on your own in order to get a more firm understanding of tonight's episode. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can follow us on social media at A Breath of Fresh Air Pod on Instagram and BOFAPOD on Twitter. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week.